What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about training. This is going to be Beginner Basics Part 3. So if you haven't seen Beginner Basics Part 2 and Part 1, make sure you check those out. I'll put links somewhere over there or maybe down below. But Part 2 recently was about how to track macros. So for those of you that are willing to track macros, go ahead and watch that if you haven't already seen it. And Part 1 was about energy balance, calories in versus calories out, and progressive overload. And you actually really do need to understand progressive overload before watching this video. So if you haven't seen Beginner Basics Part 1 first, go ahead and go watch that first before you watch the rest of this video. When I'm discussing training in this video, I'm going to do it under the assumption that most of you, like me, your number one priority with training is to develop your physique, build a better body, rather than just getting really strong, because there are different ways of training, and certain ways of training will help you build a lot of muscle or develop your body in a certain way, and you will get stronger as well, but getting stronger won't happen as much or as quickly as your physique develops. And then there's also other ways of training that are designed to help you build strength and not necessarily build your physique. Before I get too much into building muscle, let me just say that there is no specific way to train for burning fat or losing fat. I mean, yes, you can train in a way that will burn more calories so that it helps you create a caloric deficit, which in turn, along with proper macronutrient distribution, will help you lose fat. But as far as your training in the gym goes, your training should be geared towards building muscle. And even if you're losing weight or dieting down, your training should still remain the same, because you still need to be stimulating your muscles in order to ensure that you keep as much muscle mass while you're dieting down. If your goal is to build muscle, then your goal in the gym, every time you go in to train, is going to be to induce hypertrophy. Now, what the hell is hypertrophy, right? Hypertrophy is basically the idea that when you train with weights or any kind of resistance, you're creating very small amounts of damage within the muscle. And the way that works is basically having your muscles produce a certain amount of force that it's not used to will create very small microscopic tears at like the level of the fiber. Not tears in the sense that like you tore your muscle and you can't use it anymore, or you're in the hospital or something like that. A tear like that would be like if you have your muscle fibers running this way, and you tear a muscle. What that is, like, the tears are going all right here, sort of in a linear fashion through the entire muscle fiber, or all the muscle fibers. Whereas hypertrophy, is basically when, imagine your muscle fibers going this way again. You might have like a small partial tear here, here in this fiber, here in another fiber, here in another fiber, here, and all over the place. So basically, it's very, very small microscopic tears in your muscle fibers that are sort of evenly dispersed throughout the muscle. So your muscle is still functional, it's just probably going to be a little bit sore, a little bit inflamed, but that's normal. And the idea of hypertrophy is that when you induce that sort of response, your body is going to, first, it's going to try to recover. So assuming that your nutrition is on point, it's going to try to heal itself. It's going to try to repair all that damage that you created. But it's not just going to do that. Like I said, assuming that your nutrition is good, your body will actually repair the muscle cells or the muscle fibers a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger than they were before. Now keep in mind, guys, that damage that you created, no matter how hard you trained, it was on a microscopic level. Well, assuming that you didn't actually hurt yourself. That damage was on a microscopic level. So that adaptation or that sort of muscular progress, that muscular growth, is also going to be on a microscopic level. So you can't expect to gain like pounds and pounds of muscle each month or anything like that. But the good news is that as long as you follow the principles of progressive overload and you diet correctly, all those really, really small microscopic little gains, they will add up over the years. So coming back to that idea of muscular adaptation, that's sort of why progressive overload is important. Because each time that you train, your body is going to adapt in a way to prepare itself so that hopefully the next time you train, at least your body is thinking that it won't go through the same sort of pain or damage because it's built itself up stronger. So you also have to sort of adapt your training to your body's adaptations in some sense. Basically what that means is that you either have to increase volume or you have to increase resistance to account for that sort of extra muscle or extra strength that your muscle has now. Quick little side note, if you're a girl and you're watching this and you're thinking that this doesn't apply to you because you're not trying to build really big muscles or anything like that, you're kind of just going to have to trust me when I say that all the advice I've given in my Beginner Basics series, from Beginner Basics Part 1 to tracking macros and even in this training video, all of the advice applies to you just as much as it does to any guy. I will be producing a video somewhat soon about girls lifting weights, but until then, you're just going to kind of have to go with it. We're going to get into training splits now. Everybody should probably have some kind of training split set up. Even if it's not ideal, you at least need to have a plan when you go into the gym. So you need to kind of know what exercise you're going to do, what weights you're going to use for that exercise, how many sets, how many reps per set. And obviously you're not always going to hit those numbers that you had in mind, but at least you should have a goal for every single day when you go in. And I would even recommend having it either on paper or on your phone when you get in the gym, so you know what you're doing every single day. As far as training splits go, I'm a strong proponent of upper-lower splits. And basically what that means is that you spend one day training your upper body, and then another day training your lower body, and then maybe you have a day off after. Or maybe if you're a beginner, you'll have an upper day, a day off, and then a lower day, and then a day off, and so on. But for someone like me or somebody else who wants to build their body to the same extent that I do, that usually implies you're going to have 2 upper days and 2 lower days, alternating, and then 1 day off or something like that. And then on the other hand, you have splits where it's like you have chest on Monday, and then you have arms on Tuesday, and then back Wednesday, shoulders Thursday, legs Friday, toes on Saturday, forehead on Sunday, or something along those lines. And honestly, guys, I used to train like that when I first started out as well. Not so much because it's the best way to train, just because I didn't know any better. And I'm not saying you can't make progress like that. If you want to train like that and that works with your schedule, go ahead. But I don't think that's the best way for a natural athlete. Oh, and like I said before, guys, if you're not a natural athlete, then this advice probably doesn't apply to you. The reason that most people that do the kind of body part split, or like the 5-day split, most people do that because they think in their mind that if they only have to work out one muscle group every single day, they can go in the gym and focus just on that muscle group. That means more time spent, more volume, and probably more intensity on that single muscle group, which should create more damage and create a better hypertrophic response, at least in theory. The problem with that is that there's not necessarily a better or worse hypertrophic response. It's just the fact that you're creating that sort of response. And not only that, but you have to consider the fact that the way that hypertrophy works, basically after you create that damage and your body starts to adapt, you're going to have about a certain period of time, a certain chunk of time where that muscle is experiencing heightened protein synthesis, which basically means that the muscle is growing. So you're going to have a period of time where that muscle is growing, and that period usually lasts anywhere from like 24 to 48 hours. Let's say for the sake of explanation that sort of growth window is 36 hours. What that means is that if you're doing a five-day split with a 1 day off, let's say you train chest on your first day of that split, that means that 2 days later, that sort of muscle growth is going to be done, and then you're going to have to wait a whole other 4 or 5 days until you can train chest again, because that's just the way your split is set up. Whereas, let's say you have an upper-lower split where you're training 1 day upper, 1 day lower, and then 1 day off. So let's say on your upper body day, you're going to hit chest, obviously. So you hit chest on that upper body day, and then over the next 2 days, you can have that muscular growth response. And then immediately after that second day after that was your day off. So then the next day after that, that's your upper day again. So basically, what you're doing is increasing training frequency for every single muscle group if you go upper lower versus a body part split. When it comes to actually structuring your own split, you kind of have to consider that, you kind of have to like figure out where the cutoff for upper and lower body is. So I would say that your upper body is going to include your arms, shoulders, back, such as like your lats, rhomboids, scapular retractors or whatever, as well as your chest and your abs. And I think that's it. And then your lower body, I would include your calves, your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads, and your lower back, as well as all the muscles sort of encompassed in that area. And you can kind of see that based on the number of muscle groups in each, you can kind of see why somebody like me has 2 upper days and 2 lower days. But just as a starting point, I kind of wanted to give you guys an example of a beginner split. If you're a sort of advanced trainee or a competitor or something like that, I'm going to post my current workout split down below in the description. So you can take a look at that if you want and use it sort of as a starting point to structure your own split. But I wouldn't recommend doing my exact split because chances are your physique isn't the same as mine, and you don't have the same strengths and weaknesses as me. So it might not make the most sense to do the same split. Keep in mind, guys, this is just a very basic starting point, meant for people who have either never done an upper-lower split or maybe even never trained before and they want to start somewhere. The reason that I wrote some of these exercises in red are because things like the squat, deadlift, bench, and overhead press, I believe that those 4 exercises are sort of essential to any split. Regardless of whether or not you decide to structure your split like this, I think that you should try to include those exercises just because they're very basic compound movements which involve a lot of muscle, and they're also good benchmarks for strength if that matters to you. The way that I wrote this is you have the title of your workout here, so lower day, and then you have the name of your exercise. X stands for the amount of weight that you're using for your working sets, and then this first number here is going to be the number of reps in your first set, the number of reps in your second set, and the number of reps in your third set. The reason that I wrote it like this is because this is also the way that I would log my workouts, and I highly recommend that you guys keep a workout log, whether that be on paper or on, I use Evernote on my phone. That's really useful. And basically the way I do it is, let's say I'm going into the gym on a lower day, I'm doing squats. I will put my working weight here, so current working weight for me is 325, and then I'll write the number, as soon as I finish my first working set, I'll write that number of reps here, and then after second set here, after third set here. So I know how many reps I did in each set, and it's pretty easy for me to look back on that the next week and see whether I have to increase weight, reps, sets, whatever. The reason that I included these lifts here in your lower, and I guess these lifts here in your upper, is because if you were to do a split exactly like this, exactly like this structure, you would be hitting every single muscle group in your entire upper and lower body. You might leave out like 1 or 2, like I don't think you really hit calves here. You might not directly work out bis and tris, but keep in mind, guys, this is just for beginners, and all of these lifts will set a good foundation for you so that later on, as you get used to this frequency and this amount of volume, you can add in accessory lifts such as for quads, you might add in leg extensions. For hamstrings, you might add in leg curls. Obviously, you'll do some kind of calf raises. And then for your upper body, you might add in something like bicep curls and tricep extensions, as well as maybe rows and dumbbell flies or something like that. But that is totally up to you guys how you change this split. This is just sort of a starting point. And you can kind of see that as you add in more exercises, it kind of becomes unreasonable to try to do your entire lower body and all those exercises that go with it in one day, which is why most trainees such as myself end up doing a 2-day or 2 days upper and 2 days lower. For the number of reps and number of sets, you can kind of see here I put every single exercise I wrote 3 sets of 10, and I'm not saying that that's what everybody should do, but that's a good starting point because generally 8 to 10 reps is a good rep range for creating that hypertrophic response, and I'd say 3 sets is enough that you can create that response, but it's not so much that it's going to overwhelm newer trainees with the amount of volume. Another thing I wanted to say just before I start doing this is that although I said 8 to 10 rep range is good for hypertrophy, like I've said before, everybody's sort of different, so you kind of want to experiment with those rep ranges. For some people, higher rep ranges might work a little bit better, but I would generally say around that 8 to 10 rep range is good. For myself, I found that it works pretty well for me to do, at least on the bigger compound movements such as deadlifts, squats, and bench. I like to do rep ranges around 6 to 8, and that works well for me, but like I said, guys, you're going to have to kind of track your progress and see what works best for you, and then change it based upon your results. But back to actually tracking your progress and writing out your sets. You can see here I've written 325 for the back squat, which is my current working weight. The way that I would do it is before I actually start any exercises, obviously before I go to the gym I always do mobility work and stretching and all that kind of stuff. And then in order to warm up or to get acclimated before doing this 325, because obviously you don't go to the gym, throw on 325 on the bar and just squat it. If you do, good for you, but I don't do that. What I usually do is I start with a very, very light weight and progressively work my way up to working weight. So a lot of the times if I'm doing 325, I'll start with just the bar, go through the motion of the squat, and then I'll probably do that for like a single set, maybe 2 sets, and then I'll throw a little bit of weight on there. I'll go maybe 135 for a couple of sets. And keep in mind, guys, that when you're doing these sort of warm-up sets, you might not even want to call them warm-up sets. A lot of people call them like acclimation sets, and basically the idea is that you're just getting your body used to or accustomed to handling that amount of weight. So if I'm doing 135, that's still pretty light for me, so I'm just going through the motion. The next set might be like 225 or whatever it is. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of reps. I mean, I'd say I'll do maybe between 3 and 10 reps for each warm-up or acclimation set. And the idea is not to necessarily tire out my muscles or get any kind of hypertrophic response out of those sets. It's simply just to get my body used to or get my body ready for those working sets. And for me, I am doing straight sets, so that means 325 for each work set. So let's say I hit my first set. My goal for now is 325 for 6, so I hit that first set, I got 6. And then let's say that second set, I got 6 again. The next set, I got 6. I'm doing 4 working sets now, so a little bit different, but let's say that fourth set, I got 6. Sorry. If I get 4 sets of 6, that's solid progress. That means that's a PR for me. And if that's a PR, that means that the next week, if I erase this, that means that the next week I might do 325 for 7, 7, 7, 7. Or, you know, either way, I could go 325 for 4 sets of 7, I might go 325 for 5 sets of 6, or I might go increase the weight to 330 for 4 sets of 6. Either way, based on progressive overload, I'm going to have to increase something, either volume or resistance. If you actually do use this as your starting point, as your workouts, I would say if you do this workout your first week, minus the 325, 4 sets of 7, if you do this workout your first week, I want you to, every single week or every single workout, try to change something. So either add another exercise, add an additional set, add a certain number of reps, or increase resistance. One other thing I kind of have to address is that I don't necessarily want you guys to always be switching your exercises. Like, if you want to substitute an exercise, like maybe you want to do dumbbell bench press instead of barbell bench press, that's totally fine. But if you choose to do that, just make sure that you stick with that exercise. Because I know people talk about muscle confusion or whatever, but that'll be a topic for a whole other video. But basically, if you continue to switch all your exercises around constantly, like maybe one week you do OHP and the next week you do dumbbell military press or something like that, there's no real way for you to track your progress. And if you're not tracking your progress, you can't ensure that you are progressively overloading your muscle. And like we talked about earlier, progressive overload is the only way to ensure that constant hypertrophic response and that constant muscle growth. And sorry, I think that's about it for this video. I hope this helped you guys. I know it was another really long video, but as far as the last video goes, that was like 19 minutes long, and I got a pretty good response from that. So I'm hoping that sometimes the videos have to be long in order to get the amount of information in there that I want. And I'm hoping that you guys learned a lot from this. Leave your feedback in the comments below. Don't forget to rate and subscribe, please. If you know anybody that wants or that might benefit from this video, be sure to share it with them. But that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.